I'm Bobby J. Welcome back to the channel. We got a fun one for you today. We got another episode in the Versus series. If you haven't seen those three, check them out. Now, this one here, I'm pretty excited about this one. We've got ourselves an 01 Dodge and an 01 Ford F350 Super Duty. Now, what's pretty interesting about these trucks is the history of them going back. Now, you might be looking at this, you might be saying, yeah, that's a Super Duty. You know, should we be going with a third gen Cummins Dodge versus the Super Duty? Well, you'd be right, because production years, the third gen Dodge did run longer with the early first gen Super Duty than the second gen did. But if you dive back into the history of these trucks, which is kind of what I dig and what I'm into and what some of this is about, is we're diving back into the history of where did the Super Duty come from, right? You go back to the mid-90s, Ford was behind the curve. You know, some of you OBS guys that are diehards, you might argue with that, but let's look at it. You know, Chevy, 88, completely new truck, independent front suspension, no more wing windows. The old stuff is out for Chevrolet. Dodge comes out with the second gen in 1994 and kind of lights up the truck scene. And you got Ford running on a 20-plus-year-old chassis, essentially. So Ford had to jump in here and get with the program and get themselves competitive once again. And why did this truck come onto the scene? Because of that truck right there. You know, 99 was the first year for the Super Duty. You know, the engineers were working on that truck. 95, 96, that's when the thoughts are going, what we're going to do, what's coming next for Ford. Well, the second gen Dodge probably affected that a lot on that decision making. So that's why we're going 01 Dodge, 01 Ford. So this is my friend Caleb, and he came on out to bring his F350. And you know what's interesting? Yeah, these trucks are 23 years old at this point. But it's amazing on how relevant and how sought after they still are. I mean, here, Caleb, how old are you again?
21.
You're 21 years old. You know, we got the new generation that are coming up, and they want these trucks. And, you know, that's pretty cool. Like an old guy like me, okay, I remember when these trucks were on the dealership. And it's pretty cool. Like I said, it's just pretty cool to me to see that the new generation, how interested they are at these. Caleb, why don't you give us a rundown here on your F350?
I got a 2001 Ford here. I've got 376,000 miles on it, quite a bit, but put a new injectors in it, new turbo, kind of beefed it up a bit. Transmission replaced around I think it was like 330,000 miles on it. Just kind of fell out of the floor pretty much. But I guess that's all really the engine work I've done to it. Oh, I got a new air intake on this too, cold air, but other than that, it's pretty stock, and it's done pretty good. 376,000 miles is pretty good for a diesel, and beats all the new trucks with the diff on it and whatnot. But yeah, straight pipe, 5-inch straight pipe on it. Sweet, trustworthy truck, I think.
Yeah, trustworthy. That's the thing. You know, that's interesting. You said 376, 320,000 miles. These trucks combined together have almost 700,000 miles. So how long have you had this truck, Caleb?
I got this thing, this is my first truck I got in high school. So when I turned 16, so probably about 6 years now or something like that. Now I do a lot of towing with it, so farm, so I do a lot of equipment towing, so I got a gooseneck to hook up to it. And
So you got a gooseneck hitch. So what are you pulling around a lot with it, Caleb?
Sweepers for almond harvest is normally in backhoe. I got a backhoe too I tow, so weight wise we're probably pushing 20,000 pounds, I guess, on it that we're pulling out of this thing. So,
Behind the truck, not including the truck?
Not including the truck, just behind the truck. And then I've got diesel tank and toolbox, and I don't know how much that'll all add to the weight, but yeah, we got quite a bit of weight that sits in this thing as we go down the road.
Yeah, you're 28,000 gross.
Sitting around there.
And yeah. So, you know, what's cool about this truck, and this is probably one of the big things on the Ford Super Duty chassis, or I should say, because even the OBS was a crew cab, but one of the big advantages Ford has always had over Dodge is more cab configurations, and specifically a crew cab. You know, here we are, 2001. We got a fantastic crew cab set up. I mean, it looks like to me there's adequate room in this truck. Oh, yeah. I haven't spent a lot of time. I haven't spent a lot of time around Super Duties myself, but every time I have, I've been pretty impressed with them. And you know, you've got a nice dash layout. You've got the controls for your door locks, windows, that sort of thing. Your latches, even your latches. These are pretty cool. They remind me of a Class 8 truck. And of course the swoop, the Kenworth looking swoop on the window. They're definitely, it's no secret that I am not a fan of an OBS Ford. I can't stand them. I hate wing windows. The cab is tiny. They're terrible. I hate them. That's all there is to it. The Super Duty, what a huge change. Let me show you this here. Look at this. If you watched the last Versus video, you know what I'm talking about. I'm 6'4". Caleb, how tall are you?
6'4".
6'4". We're big dudes. We need room. We need room. We need elbow room. We need headroom. You don't have that in OBS. Some of those older trucks, no. Lots of room, headroom. I like that. Comfortable. I've got leg room. This is a nice, you know, classic on one hand. It kind of does look classic Ford, but it's all a new design. Very well thought out, cool dash, got a Mountain Dew, good choice, and pretty slick truck. Yeah, you know what's interesting about this Super Duty, about the 7.3, I call it the Gen 2 7.3. I don't know if that's correct or not, but there were quite a few changes in this engine over the OBS 7.3. One is split shot injectors, no longer the single shots, which were that was the choke point, was those small single shot injectors. So you got split shots, you've got a wastegated turbo, a Garrett wastegated turbo from the factory. You've got an intercooler finally. Early OBSs are not even intercooled. This engine's smoother, just a lot of improvements. Now, one thing is interesting is still leaf sprung front suspension on these. From 99 to 04, they were still all leaf sprung. And in fact, 99 to 01 is, you got the Dana 50. Right? Yeah, these have still, I think, the oddball Dana 50. Now, that's a knock against Ford. I don't know why they had to do that. They had the Dana 60 and the F350 and the OBS. Don't know what the deal was there. 02, if my information is correct, 02, then they put the Dana 60. I think dual rear wheel F350s do have a Dana 60 in them, I believe. So that's a little funky. But other than that, pretty solid drivetrains in these trucks, just as good as anything else. Well, the first thing is that it's way quieter than like my OBS. It's way quieter, and it is maybe even quieter in here than my 01. I think, you know. I keep wanting to focus on the OBS at times, but some of that's for my own interest. But, you know, yeah, compared to my 01, this truck is a little bit quieter inside. You get the... yeah, you got a little bit of power. What'd you say you got done to this? You got it, you know, obviously you got your tunes over there and your edge, and then...
I put in bigger injectors and I think I got a 69 or 70 millimeter turbo I put in this thing.
Oh, okay.
The bearing went out in the old one, so decided to get a new one, and then I got bigger injectors. I don't know what I think over 100 overhead injectors, I think it is. But we're pushing quite a bit. Fuel mileage went down, but It's all about miles per gallon, not miles per gallon.
There you go. What kind of mileage do you get out of this truck, do you think?
Actually, this tune helped me out. I can get about 14, 15 miles a gallon with all that I've done to it, which is actually, I think it's fairly good for a lifted diesel.
Yeah. Yeah, that's not bad. And you know, some of the older 7.3s were known for pretty good mileage and stuff. And yeah, it's, you know, this is pretty comfortable. This is a nice truck inside. I have to say that the seats are comfortable. I love this in the Ford. That little swoop down in the window, I personally think that's pretty cool. And I love the fact that there's no stupid bar across here. There's no wing window. But yeah, this is, and I will say for a leaf sprung truck, it rides pretty darn good. You know, the big thing too is, I mean, look at all the room back there. You got a lot of room with a crew cab, and the Ford Super Duty was as good as any of them, or better, on plenty of leg room, plenty of space, good doors. That's the thing, these trucks have pretty good doors in them. I think that are pretty robust, and the hinges and stuff, door pins hold up well. A lot of improvement. Now, how about your HVAC controls? Have you had any trouble with any of that stuff, with your heater, defrost, AC?
No, I mean, I've had some hoses go, but then again, it's a 24-year-old truck or whatever, you know, so you're gonna have those things go. But for the most part, no, this AC, like, it blows cold, the heat, yeah,
everything works.
It works good.
When you put it on defrost, it comes out the defrost on the windshield, and yeah. Well, I'm pleasantly surprised on two things, really. How quiet this truck is, and also how well it rides for having leaf springs. I mean, you can feel that it's leaf spring, but it's not as stiff as I thought it would be, especially with this truck being an F350. So let's go jump in the old 01 Dodge, take it for a test drive. What we got here is a 2001 Dodge Ram. It is a late 01, so it does have the rear disc brakes. It is a full-on sport, factory sport. It is a totally loaded truck. It's the best you could buy in 2001. I have owned this truck for about 20 years, and it has been a fantastic truck for me. SO, Cummins, 235 horse, 47RE automatic. It is a 2500, but it's a camper special version. So it is basically, in the second gen, it's basically a single wheel 3500. Now this truck for the most part is mildly modded, not heavily. It's got a 5-inch exhaust with a muffler, factory intake still. Engine's all completely stock internally. It's got a fast pump on it. HX35 Suncoast automatic with a billet 3 disc converter. Other than that, what you see is what you get. It does have the 3rd gen brake upgrade. This truck has fantastic brakes. Other than that, it is pretty much a factory 2001 sport. Long bed, full quad cab, leather interior. Let's go check out the inside. Now inside the 2nd gen Dodges, they have plenty of headroom, very similar to that Super Duty. And I love the steering in this truck. I was not a fan of the steering wheel in the Super Duty. That is kind of an old looking steering wheel, but the dash layout, I like the dash layout in the Super Duty. I like the door panels a lot better. I like the black interior in the Dodge, so I would definitely pick this interior over the Super Duty. These seats right here are the most comfortable seats I've ever owned in anything. That includes my new 5th gen. I love this interior. But I will say that Super Duty dash, pretty cool, pretty cool. I do like the quad cab doors. They're really cool for, you know, got my lunch back there. I got my squirt gun with a 20-inch bull barrel and a 3x12 scope. That just, you could jump back there real quick, swing that door open, grab that out of there real quick. And other than that, this is a pretty much stock truck inside. And let's go take it for a road test. Don't look too close underneath. He's looking underneath my dash to find some cracks, and he found some.
Yeah, Dodge is, I don't know, they always seem to have a cracked dash on them. I like the whistle. I love hearing the whistle either. It's sweet.
My exhaust is almost louder than yours, huh?
Yeah, the Cummins just seems, it makes a deeper rumble, it seems like, it is a lot more louder.
And I have a muffler.
Yeah.
You have a muffler in yours? Oh, yeah, no, yeah.
Straight pipe.
Yeah, I got a muffler on top of it. Yeah, it does. Doing it all over again, I would do a 4-inch exhaust.
Yeah, why is that?
Too much drone. Right in there, like that 2,000 RPM range.
Yeah.
There's just too much drone right there. You can't hear jack. And in the converter with a trailer and everything, the converter likes to hold the motor sometimes right in that 2,000, 2,100.
Sits there and rumbles all day long.
All right. Let's open her up.
There you go. You got quite a bit of power to this thing too.
Yeah, it picks up a boost. Gonna turn?
Oh, that turbo sounds good. It's not too much louder than my truck. I mean, you hear the exhaust a bit more, but
Yeah.
it's pretty good.
I think actually, I mean, what do you think? You know, you're obviously driving yours every day. I mean, what do you think about the ride of mine compared to yours?
Well, I mean, mine's a 1-ton, so it does seem, when you get on some rough roads, it rides rough. But this thing, it does pretty good. You know, empty. But I mean, you get a trailer on mine, it just feels like butter when you go down the road. But I mean, that's just a truck for you. But this rides, I mean, it's pretty smooth, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a truck, but it's, you know, it's pretty smooth. You
Mine-
replaced your transmission in this one?
Oh yeah, I'm on trans number 3.
Really?
Yeah, the converter exploded. Number 2, that's counting trans number 1 is the original transmission.
Yeah.
Number 2 was built pretty good. It had a 3-disc converter and Alto Red clutches and a Suncoast valve body and stuff. And it was doing great. It just, well, one day the converter decided to completely grenade inside. And so wound up and just rebuilt, because that transmission had 140,000 on it, so we just went ahead and rebuilt it and started over. So it's got a Suncoast 3-disc low stall, Suncoast valve body, same thing, I think same clutches, and I still have the original flex plate and the original input shaft in this truck. I mean, on the Dodges, you might know this, maybe not, maybe, but you know, the input shaft is, guys that want to beat on these trucks, they'll break input shafts, and so they go to billet input shafts. I've managed to get 320,000 miles, still have the original input and the original flex plate in it, and I mean, same thing. I was towing heavy. This truck used to have the 19.5s with the flatbed on it.
Oh, shit.
And I was doing the same stuff that, you know, we're all doing, hauling all our junk around.
Yeah.
So what do you think, Caleb?
Well, it's not terrible. I mean, my thing on Dodges, if I ever got a Dodge, it'd be a manual.
Oh,
but that's just because, I mean, the same way, I guess you hate the OBS, you know, it's just,
yeah.
I just don't like it, but it's a solid truck. The Cummins engine is a very good, reliable engine motor there, and you got plenty of torque to tow, but once again, I like my Ford better, but that's, you know, that's just the way I am, I guess. But yeah, it's a sweet truck though.
So what do you think, Caleb? You want to trade pink slips?
No, I keep my Ford all day.
I would have to agree. I don't want to trade pink slips, but I do like your truck. Yeah, Super Duty is a fantastic truck.
Yeah, no, it's not a terrible truck, but over the two, I would prefer my truck.
Yeah, I understand that. There's a lot of attributes in the Ford that I like. The crew cab factor, I like. That's probably the biggest thing, right? Outside of that, I like the reliability of the Fords under the dash. Now, I've been lucky where I have not really had any HVAC trouble in this truck, believe it or not, but I think I'm pretty lucky in that category. Most second gens usually have trouble, especially by now, for sure. this one's kind of a survivor. But other than that, I'm kind of with you in that I like what I've got. I like the Cummins power. I like the Dodge interior. I personally really like these seats. I like the black, everything. I don't know if black was an option in those years in the Fords. I'm kind of a black interior guy, so I kind of, the red and black combo is kind of my thing. But in drivetrain wise, I think, you know, the automatics are both 4-speeds. They both have had their troubles. But, you know, so I think it's kind of one half dozen the other, or whatever that saying is. That Dana 50 is kind of a funky deal. Don't know why Ford did that, and they did finally ditch that and go to the Dana 60. Other than that, I think the, you know, the rear end, the Sterling's good. Of course, the Dana Spicer stuff's all good. Either way, you can't hardly beat it. I appreciate you coming out.
Oh, yeah.
And you know, bringing your truck. I really appreciate it. It's been fun.
Yeah.
So I will see you out in the orchard.
Sounds good.
Thanks for watching.